Hey everybody. Hey everybody. This is KD0FNR, and I haven't gotten to play with 20-meter radio propagation from downtown San Francisco in a few months. But I got to do a cool thing a few days ago, and so I wanted to kind of make a few notes about that and show you what happened. First off, this is about 3 in the afternoon from San Francisco. And what that means, no matter where I transmit from, is that this is about how far I get out. I have a 5-watt radio, um, and it gets out to Utah, a little bit up to Canada, a little bit over to Oregon, and occasionally down to LA. Later in the afternoon, like 2 hours later, you'll see signals get all the way out to Maine, which is really fun. But just making a note that these are the standard kind of propagation pattern that you would see on this radio at this time of day. And these stations, the receiving stations, are reverse beacon network spotting stations that are automated and that decode Morse code. And so now let's go into downtown and take a look at things. So what was fun for me was that I was transmitting from the balcony of the Elks Lodge using a vertical whip. And so I was sitting about here. I might have been a few feet off on my height. I think that I might have been actually up here. But if you ever thought that you couldn't transmit through buildings on 20 meters, turns out you can, at least a little. So you see this path going up to Oregon. This path is headed out to Canada. These two are headed in northern Utah. There's kind of a cool thing on these two, which is if we go and look at the edge of the building, you see that they're essentially just coming right out the windows there. If I gotten the balcony height correct, I am pretty sure that they would have been coming right out these windows. So anyway, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's kind of cool. Other interesting features are that there is a direct path, at least with the F2 layer of the ionosphere at the height it was that day, from the Elks Lodge to LA. And so if we come up here, what we'll see is that the transmission path from the balcony goes right over the St. Francis. Just clears the roof. And from there, it just goes out to LA. And then the final thing I wanted to show you, which I think is really cool, is you might have been wondering what this graph over here is. And what this is this is the United States Geographic Survey's elevation data. And what they do is map the elevation of ground, not buildings, but the ground. And that data is freely available on the internet. And so I use it for things like seeing, how much the amount that the ground slopes away affects the launch angle of your antenna, and so if you're on a slope, you can transmit further. That's what I'm usually looking at this data for. But I saw a really cool thing downtown where everything should have been pretty flat today, and that was this big kind of trough right here. By the way, I just realized that's Cooper, the radio hound behind me there. He's sound asleep. So what we see with this is I'm at the balcony, and it's just measuring on the ground, so it thinks I'm on the sidewalk down here. And what we're watching is, if you see the blue dot along the path there, we're just walking down a typical San Francisco hill. In a block and a half, we lost about 94, 84, about 10 feet. So that makes sense. This is kind of cool. If we rotate this around, it's kind of cool that you can see this little hump is the stairs going into Union Square. That's awesome. And then there's a little bit of wiggling because trees. I've seen this before. And then we come up on this big trough, and it looks like it's right about in here. And if we zoom in, what it turns out that is that's the ramp down into the parking structure that's underground below Union Square. And so it's really cool. It actually caught the ramp. And if we look over here at this trough, what you'll see is there's another ramp. It's not as pronounced because I'm actually querying for data right along this path. and it just grazed the ramp. But just grazing the ramp, that is what the geospatial data says should be right there. So anyway, just some cool things I saw when I got to transmit from downtown this weekend. You can transmit through buildings. Another thing, you can receive through buildings. So I could hear a station from Alaska, which would have been off this direction, and I couldn't hear it well, and they couldn't hear me. But again, I was actually making out signals. Maybe I'll try to I've got a recording of what was going on the air, and maybe I'll try to get that out a little bit later. But thanks everybody for your attention. I'm using Cesium maps, and I'm using the Google photorealistic tiles to get this level of detail on everything. That makes it kind of fun to visualize and see what's going on. Okay, 72s everybody's KD0FNR.
Dun 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 dun, toucan radios.
Woo!